Hi, I'm Angelique and I'm going to show you how to patch jeans. The first one is where you actually patch from the back. You actually can use some of the fraying as a design element. This is one of my favorite ways. This is an example of a patch that's to kind of match it, but you can see how it blends in more. And then lastly, I have just sort of a fun patch that I did a little free motion quilting, and I did this as raw edge applique. So it's a couple ways that you can patch. One of the first things that I want to do, because I'm going to do a patch on the top, is I want to trim it. So this time I don't want a lot of these frayed ends because they're just going to get in the way and possibly tangle up. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to measure. And I want to have maybe about 1 inch or so on both sides to get good coverage and good sewing. And I think I'm going to go ahead with a rectangular piece. If it's a round hole, you can use like these round ones in different sizes to get a good one. That wouldn't look so bad either, but I just think with the shape of the hole, more rectangular patch would be useful. And I have prepared a piece of fabric with a stickable interfacing on it. I'm going to cut my rectangle and then see if this is going to line up nicely. And I'm pretty pleased with that. So let's move over to the iron. So I'm going to just kind of finger press this down first because it is a little sticky, and make sure that I'm happy with its placement. I can look underneath as well just to make sure that I did cover the hole nicely. And so now I want to kind of permanently fuse it down, but I'm going to start, in case I don't like the placement, I can do a dry iron first. So let's move over to the Little Rebel. I'm going to do this slowly because I want to keep a really straight edge. The Little Rebel has no trouble going through this thick fabric. Easy reverse stitches. I do want my needle down because I'm going to do a turn. And I'm going to continue to sew my patch down. And so now you can see that I have it nice and secure. If I want to do some decorative stitches, this is where I can continue to work on that now. And you can see it's nice and secure on the inside of the jeans, nice and secure on the outside of the jeans. So super cute. Who wouldn't want a pair of jeans like this? All right, so this is Rebel Racers. I'm going to pass it on to Sabrina, who's going to show you how to make a seam.
Now that we have our jeans patched, we are ready to seam. But first, let's talk about a couple different seams that we have. So on our jeans, this is just a pair of typical jeans. This here we have is a welt seam, and it just helps the jeans lay flat. Then we have on the other side, this is our flat felled seam. This is the most common seam that you'll see in denim. And this is probably the simplest seam on these jeans. But today, to make things easier for our competitors, we are just going to do a straight seam across our jeans. So let's head on over to the Little Rebel. And we are going to measure our seam at 5/8 of an inch. If we look along the line, the Little Rebel has perfect markings for us to go off of. So if we line our seams right up against that 5/8, and we can put our needle down, and we can put our edge right up against that needle and start to sew. And as we go, the Little Rebel just glides it right across. Just make sure your edges are nice and lined up with that 5/8 inch of a seam. And we'll slide it right through, stopping every little bit just to make sure that those edges are lined up. And we'll back stitch to secure it. And there we go. So now we can take it on over to our iron and just press the seam to make sure that it lays flat and secure that seam. And then we will press it open. So to press it open, the easiest way is just to line it up and slide your iron down. Just make sure you don't get those edges in there. We want to make sure it lays perfectly flat. And then our seam will be good to go. Now that we've finished our seam, we're gonna pass it on over to Jenna for our hem.
You know how all of your friends come to you and they say, oh, you have a sewing machine. Can you hem these pants for me? Can you hem this shirt for me? And you say, no, I have no clue how. I quilt. Well, after today, you're gonna be able to hem, and guess what? Now you can say, yeah, I'll do it for 20 bucks. Don't ever do it for free, okay? Not worth your time. So let's talk about different types of hems. I encourage you to go look in your closet and look at the bottom of your clothes and just to see the different types that you may have at home. So here is your stereotypical jean double fold hem. And there's a decorative stitch more on the inside, stereotypical jean. This one is kind of fun because what they did is they folded the hem up and then did a decorative stitch on the outside. And so it just was like kind of fun looking. This skirt has a hand stitched hem right here. You can't even see it, but they did a little whip stitch. And then on this side, you can't even see any of the stitching. And then here is like your stereotypical rolled, double folded hem. That is basically what we're gonna be doing today. So now we're gonna start easy peasy, and we're just gonna stick the side of our jeans into our machine and sew a straight line using a 1/4 inch seam. I'm just gonna follow along the edge of my foot all the way around. Now we've got our straight seam, and now let me show you what you are going to do. Where are we stitched? That is where you are going to fold. So you're gonna fold once, and then we're gonna fold twice, and then you're gonna sew right here on top. If you look at the side where this seam is, where it was serged, if I were to fold this twice, it's gonna be super duper bulky. And so one way to combat that is we are going to clip right above where we sewed that initial line. And then I'm gonna clip about a 1/4 inch above that. And then what I can do is I can now move that piece to the side. And then so when I roll up my hem, it's not gonna be as bulky. So now I'm gonna take this over to the machine, I'm gonna roll it up. So I'm gonna start by doing 1, and then 2. I'm gonna stick that under my machine. I'm just gonna go near the edge. And I just like to follow along the edge of my foot. It makes it easier for me. I'm gonna sew a couple stitches. Then I'm gonna tuck it in, roll it, keep going. I want to make sure my needle's down every time I stop. I'm gonna tuck it in. Keep going. And then I love how in the end, it just folds itself over and it's so nice and easy. I'm gonna backstitch a little bit. And then here we've got our finished hem, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Now we're gonna take it over to Sabrina, and she is gonna finish pressing it.
All right, now we have our finished jeans. We just want them to lay nice and flat, look pretty, and we will press these down for a beautiful pair of jeans.
Now we got a perfect pair of jeans!